morning, guys. I hope that everybody is having an awesome summer. I haven't made any videos yet this summer, mainly because all I do is go to work and sleep. My hair is pink. You guys probably noticed. I dyed it yesterday. If you know my mom, you know she's not too happy about it. But anyway, let's get into the video. As you saw by the title, I'm going to be talking about my experience with epilepsy. And if you don't know what epilepsy is, I have the definition pulled up right here. And it's a neurological disorder marked by sudden episodes of sensory disturbance, loss of consciousness, or convulsions associated with abnormal electric activity in the brain. So my experience with epilepsy is a little different than most people's. I was not born with epilepsy. I developed epilepsy around my senior year of high school. I really wanted to come on here and share this with you because it is something that greatly affected my life then when I was having seizures and still today, and it's going to affect my life. Things that I can do, medicines I have to take, it's going to affect my life for my entire rest of my life. So the first time I ever experienced anything abnormal was a Saturday. It was a normal day. We were at the lake. I had a friend with me. My sister had a friend with her, and my parents were there. And I wakeboard literally every time I'm at the lake. So there was nothing weird. And I remember getting on the wakeboard. I remember being pulled up by the boat, and I was wakeboarding. And the last thing that I remember was seeing some waves coming towards me and me thinking, oh, I'm gonna fall. And I fall over, and I remember my wakeboard slipping off my feet behind me. So after I remember hitting the water, and then after that I don't remember anything. I woke up on a stretcher at one of the restaurants on the lake that was nearby the cove that we were in. And I remember waking up on the stretcher. I had a neck brace on. I remember looking around thinking, what's happening? I remember saying, like, I'm fine, like I want to get back on the boat, what's going on? I saw my friend looking at me, like crying. I was really worked up. I didn't know what was happening, and I was worried. So we get to the hospital, and the doctor, I think, checked my lungs to make sure I didn't have any water in them. I think I may have got a CT scan. I don't really remember. I'm not really sure. But the doctors came to the conclusion that my wakeboard had knocked me out and I had a concussion, and that I would be okay, just sleep it off, take some ibuprofen, and I would be fine, which I thought was super weird because I specifically remember my wakeboard slipping out under my feet, not hitting me in the head. I don't remember it hitting me in the head, so I thought, okay, maybe I just hit the water really hard. Maybe the water knocked me out for a second. But I was just very confused by that because I know that the wakeboard did not hit me, so I wasn't really sure what happened. But of course, I followed what the doctor said. I rested, I took some ibuprofen. That was a really scary experience for not just me, but my entire family. My dad pulled the boat around to get me up from the water, but when he pulled the boat around, I was not face up, I was face down in the water, and my mom started screaming, and from a distance, a fishing boat heard my mom scream, so they pulled over. My dad was able to jump into the water, pull me onto the fishing boat. He said that I was purple. He didn't know if I was breathing. The fishing boat took us to that restaurant where the ambulance was there and was able to take me to the hospital. My sister and my mom, I guess, docked our boat up at the restaurant and was able to get there with me. My mom rode on the ambulance with me. I remember them trying to cut my swimsuit off and me being like, no, like, don't touch me, I'm fine. So my dad and my sister got to the hospital. That was one of the only times I've ever seen my dad cry. And that was just a super hard time. I know for me and my family, they were all scared because we didn't know what was happening. I was definitely scared because I didn't know what was happening. My friend Emma, who was with us at the lake that day, she says that I did not remember who I was. I was unconscious. I was coming out of it. I didn't remember who she was, which was super scary to her. I know that that was very traumatic for her, seeing me, especially like not knowing who she was and looking at her like, who are you? So a couple weeks pass. I think it was about 3 weeks. I was doing okay. Everybody was calmed down. My family was calm. And again, I was in the car with my friend Bethany, and we were driving. The last thing I remember her saying was something about, we were driving by a school zone and the speed limit was like 20 or something, and I remember her complaining about the speed limit, and I was like, I know, it's so slow, and we were just like messing around. And then again, I woke up in the back of an ambulance, and I see Bethany standing outside the ambulance just crying. And as soon as I saw her crying, and as soon as I realized I was in an ambulance, I knew something was wrong, because she's not the type of person to cry, and obviously I was in an ambulance, so I was like, what just happened? Like, what's going on? I was scared. I was nervous. I remember the ambulance guy like coming and talking to me like, hey, like, who can we call? Do you have the numbers? And I just sat there for a second and I said, what happened? And Bethany was standing at the back doors of the ambulance, and she was like, Alex, you had a seizure. She said that we were driving, we were complaining about the speed limit, and all of a sudden she looked over. She said I was shaking, there was foam coming out of my mouth. So she put her hazards on, sped up, pulled into a parking lot. And the crazy thing is, she got out of the car, she screamed for help, and we were very, very, very fortunate because my friend's dad actually happened to be in the parking lot that we pulled into, so he called an ambulance for us. My friend was able to stabilize my head. I did get gum all over her car seat. I guess the gum came out of my mouth and got all over her car seat. But that was the first time that somebody actually had said, like, I had a seizure. I was on the ambulance alone for that entire ride. I was scared. I was worried. My mom was on the phone with me. She was crying. She was like, I'm coming. Like, don't worry. I'm going to be there at the same time that you get there. I'm coming. And so I get to the hospital. They put an IV in me, just the basic stuff they do when you go to the hospital. And I remember my dad and my sister getting there, and my sister being like, Dad was running red lights. It was awful. Again, my dad was crying. And we ran some tests on my brain. I had to go back into the hospital with only like 4 hours of sleep, and they connected a bunch of wires to my head and ran some tests. They did a light test on me. They did brain scans, and they determined that I had epilepsy. Lights are not the cause of my seizures. We don't exactly know what was causing them, but they started me on epilepsy medicine immediately that day, and I started taking 4 pills, or 2 pills in the morning, 2 pills at night, and they said that I was going to have to do that for the rest of my life. Another thing that they told me when we realized it was epilepsy was that I would not be able to drive until I was 6 months seizure-free, which is the law. And it was my senior year of high school. So, yes, I was lucky. I am lucky. I think about it every day. I am lucky to have my friend who was there to help me, my amazing parents who were there to help me. But just losing my car for the 6 months, basically my entire senior year, was horrible. It was the end of the world to me. I couldn't drive. I couldn't get out of my house. I couldn't do anything. I missed a lot of things senior year that I did not want to miss out on. So I was about 3 months in to being 6 months seizure free. So I had gone 3 months, and I only needed to go 3 more to be able to get my car back. And this was in December of my senior year. And I had just come home from hanging out with my friends. And I was up in my bathroom in the shower. That is the last thing that I remember. I woke up on the ground on my bathroom floor, and I had another seizure. I remember waking up from that seizure. That was probably the hardest thing, the hardest one of my seizures, the hardest time that I had with that one, because I was so close to being able to get my car back, being able to drive, and I felt defeated. I was mad at myself. I was mad at my brain. I was mad at my family. I was just mad at everything. I was mad at life, honestly. I remember getting up on the floor, being so upset, just crying. I remember getting into my bed, being so upset and distraught and defeated, honestly. But with that seizure, my dad and my sister actually heard me fall out of the shower. They heard a big, loud bump, and they run upstairs. And for some reason, I still don't know why, to this day, my bathroom door was locked, which I never locked the bathroom door, which is something my mom has told me since I was little. Do not lock the bathroom door in case you fall in the shower. So I don't know why my bathroom door was locked, but my dad was able to break the door open, which actually hit me in the head because I was having a seizure on the floor, but he was able to get in there, stabilize my head. I think this was one of the most scary seizures for my parents too, because they were actually there to witness it. The first time we didn't know it was a seizure. The second time I was with my friends, so they weren't there, but this time they were there. If my seizure goes over 3 minutes, there's some that they have to inject into me. And my dad was yelling at my mom to go get the injection pen, go get the pen, because they thought that it was going over 3 minutes. Everybody was freaking out, but it turned out fine. I went to the doctors the next day, and they upped my dosage on my medicine. For a while after that, I think we were all a little bit on edge. I know I was on edge. I was nervous. We still don't know to this day what was causing my seizures. I was just worried that any moment I could have a seizure. I know my friends at school were nervous. They were worried that I was going to have a seizure and they wouldn't know what to do. My parents took the drain out of my bathtub, so I'm not able to take baths because they're worried I'm going to have a seizure in the bathtub and drown. They put a baby monitor in my room for a while. That was taken out very quickly, but for a while there was a baby monitor in there just to make sure that if anything happened, they would be able to hear it. They would be able to come up and help me and make sure that I was okay. So after they changed my medicine, I was finally able to go 6 months seizure free, and I remember going to the doctor that day, and I was so excited to get my test done, be cleared to drive, and they did the test and they said it came back great, everything was normal. So that day they finally cleared me to drive, and I just remember being so happy, so excited. I know my parents were nervous, but I was so excited to have my car back, to be able to go where I wanted to go and do what I wanted to do and not have to rely on my friends or my parents to take me anywhere. But that was probably one of the best days of my life, getting my car back. And that was still when I was 17. So when I turned 18, I got moved to the adult neurological center, or whatever it's called, and I got moved there. I actually had my checkup December of 2018, which was my freshman year of college, and I went back. They said everything was good, everything was normal, and I was actually a year seizure free. So that was awesome. So that was basically my story with epilepsy, and I just wanted to share that with you guys. I know a lot of people do not know that I have epilepsy, but it is something, like I said, that has affected me, has affected my friends and family, and will continue to affect me and my family for the rest of my life. So I just wanted to share that with you guys, and I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Please like and subscribe, and thank you for watching. I'll see you guys next time.